definitely interesting and par for the course for the Eagles. Just a few notes before we get started. Obviously, we'll have our Ask ITB live stream for our great Patreon members this week, Wednesday, 8:00. So we'll get to preview the preseason game, the preseason finale in that with our Patreon members. And yes, Ask Greg Cosell will be coming soon. We'll have Ask Greg Cosell is just a wonderful show for our Patreon members where they get to personally ask questions each week to Greg in a chat room and have Greg answer them based on his film study. And it's a really great interactive show. It's only available if you're a Patreon member, tier 3, which is Bomb Post Touchdown. Yeah. So patreon.com/inside the birds to get in on it. And every once in a while, we'll be able to get them right before the season starts. We might do a little bonus episode or something just to whet the appetite.
Yeah. People are dying. They keep asking. We're like, hey, we just talked to Greg. He's called me 3 times. I'm chomping at the bit. I'm watching the preseason tape.
I know.
Okay.
It's great.
We get you back. So yeah. So if
it's
you want to get
that, Greg enjoys doing it as much as our listeners and viewers do, our Patreon members do.
Yeah, and what he says is every once in a while they ask a question where he goes, you know what, I may not have seen that, and he'll go back and watch the tape. So get it all. Get our shows commercial free. Get Discord with other members. And by the way, that we did two special live streams during halftime of the first 2 games, and people showed up. I wasn't sure if they showed up at 2:25 Eastern on Saturday. They showed up. It was actually a pretty good crowd.
Yeah, that's great. The interest right now, it's sky high. Everybody loves preseason. Everybody loves training camp, and they love figuring out those bottom roster spots. So, we've got a couple of weeks here left. So we'll talk about the preseason game and what that showed us as well. The Metchie trade. So let's get it. The funny, if you're being a cynic or you're just like making fun of a mid-camp trade, you're like, oh, this is let's trade our guy who's not going to make our roster but might make yours for your guy who's not going to make your roster but might make ours. But the reality is, we were talking about this from a Harrison Bryant standpoint last week. We were sort of like, why is he even running with the twos? Because in camp, he's not even doing that. He's not really producing much. He's almost invisible, hasn't caught a lot of passes. Kylan Granson has been playing not only on tight end as well, but also on kickoff coverage and punt coverage and special teams, which sometimes shows you a guy who has a leg up there. But it was clear Harrison Bryant wasn't going to make this team, Adam.
Yeah, and now a couple things here. The Titans lost Brevin Jordan, their number 2 tight end for the season, due to a severe near injury. So they needed a 3rd tight end. Right. When Bryant was in, it was mostly as a backup Y tight end to Dallas Goedert. Goddard does F, the Y, and the other position that they have. But in Calcaterra just doesn't block well enough. So and Bryant actually came in, I think, look at my notes, I think he came in the first quarter on a blocking play. Kylan Granson is a better athlete, but he doesn't block as well. And E.J. Jenkins does both. So someone had to go. And if you're the Texans, you got to have someone who's played before. You need someone who's been there and done that. And Harrison Bryant's the one guy who had experience. Because if you look at it, they've got Dalton Schultz, who's clearly their starter. He got his contract extension. Kate Stover was a 4th rounder last year, hasn't developed yet. Remember, Irv Smith Jr., unfortunately, just has not been able to develop. He's been with a number of teams. You might remember his dad, Irv Sr., played for the Saints and Dolphins. But so they needed a veteran tight end, and that was it. I totally get it from their standpoint, but that's obvious. Now, why would the Eagles want John Metchie? It wasn't that they needed another receiver. If you look at it, right, Anai Smith didn't really play last season. Darius Cooper's been the darling at camp, hasn't played. Terrace Marshall has playing experience. Avery Williams hasn't done anything as a receiver. Elijah Cooks just got back. He didn't play. Johnny Wilson's only had 1 year of playing experience. So behind the top 3, what do you have here? Not a whole lot of experience. And there's a saying, Bill Polian told me this, and I use this as a guide. You never turn down an upgrade.
Right.
Is John Metchie talented every backup receiver they have? That's not even that to me, other than Dotson, who was a 1st-round pick. He's better than Wilson, Anai Smith, Cooper, Marshall, Avery Williams. Now, why was John Metchie available? He missed his first year due to leukemia. He also came off the ACL injury, I believe his last year at Alabama. So he got over all that. I'm so glad that he's doing well physically and he's healthy. But he hasn't really played a lot. He's only played 2 years in the NFL, missed his rookie season. He did play last year. They had a bunch of injuries he had to play. It's never worked out for him. You go back to Houston, Tank Dell probably not going to play this season, but they have Nico Collins as a stud.
Yep.
They traded for Christian Kirk. They drafted Jaden Higgins. They signed Justin Watson, who could run. Jalen Noel was a 3rd-round pick. Xavier Hutchinson was a 6th-round pick 2 years ago. He played a lot last year. It was going to be hard for Metchie to make the team. So this is so obvious why the Eagles made this trade. Not maybe at first, because I was like, wait a minute, why? And then, oh yeah, upgrade. There's your answer. That's your
grade. Right. You're getting rid of a guy who you were clearly sold on not making the team, and you have an opportunity guy who could possibly, again, like you said, it's not guaranteed. If he balls out, and to go back to your point, yeah, Christian Kirk playing the slot in Houston, I think really solidified that. I mean, he's a pretty good receiver, Christian Kirk. So it would be hard for
Metchie, by the way.
That's true. Metchie's a Z, but I remember when coming out of college, even Greg Cosell, when we talked about him, he thought Metchie was going to be more of a slot receiver.
You know why?
Route running.
Well, he runs great routes and he's got good short area quickness. He's not the biggest guy in the world,
right?
And you know that was a knock on him, but man, he was a baller at Bama, man. The kid could play. Now, again, that was then. This is now. They got to get him up to speed this week. You want to get him to play against the Jets on Friday night, and then you've got the 2 post-training camp weeks leading up to the season. Being that they made the trade, it's likely he'll make the team. It's not a lock. There's no guaranteed money. He's on the final year of his rookie deal. If you look at the money, the cash from Metchie is $1.805 million. There's no guaranteed money. Harrison Bryant was making $1.17 million, $720 fully guaranteed. The Eagles were responsible for his $30,000 signing bonus. But the Texans really need a tight end, so that I get that part of it.
Yeah,
we'll just see. We'll see how Metchie looks. But again, it's about a potential upgrade. And I never forget when Bill told me that, because I'd asked him, it was related to something like this, like why would this team make that trade and make that trade? And he goes, "Oh, if you can get an upgrade, it's a no-brainer. It's not a really hard conversation." I'm like, right? Interesting. Okay.
It also shows you how he does well is stockpile at positions and creates depth to where you can make trades like this. I mean, this is also sort of like you trade Thomas Booker because you have a lot of D tackles, young, who you like. You trade him to a team who needs a tackle. They don't make the Raiders that deal if the Christian Wilkins thing doesn't happen, and they needed tackle depth. So Booker was perfect for them, and the Eagles were able to get a corner who probably, like, probably will make it. We'll see. I mean, he could fall on his face. We don't know, but he's certainly in the mix, and we'll get to that when we talk about the preseason game. So interesting stuff there. There was one last point I wanted to make on. Let's say he balls out. Let's say Metchie does really well and makes a team. Who do you think this is bad for on the Eagles? Because
people have been asking me.
I feel like Amaniah Smith and Johnny Wilson are draft picks who've had pretty good camps. But how many wide receivers are they going to keep?
Well, Terrace Marshall's been okay after coming back. He was balling out, and then he got hurt.
That's who came to mind. That's who came to my mind.
Yeah,
I mean, not great for Terrace Marshall.
Now we'll see. I know people are concerned about Darius Cooper. I'm not personally. This is not a guy you want to waive and hope that he passes through waivers. Remember Joe Banner telling me, any player you waive, you're willing to lose. This would be awful if at the cut down they cut Cooper. He's subject to waivers, and he got claimed by someone else. That would keep me up at night if I was on a personnel staff. Yeah, that would bother me. I don't see it. Now, here's the question. We'll talk more about this in 3 weeks when we get to our cut down shows. But I was thinking maybe they'd keep 6. This brings up and I know it's hard because Eagles love keeping linemen. They kept 7 defensive tackles for about 3 weeks in 2023, and they traded Gatavius Street. So it's hard, man. It's a numbers game, man. And it's not easy. Teams don't, because why would you keep 6 if you're only going to draft 4 or 5? Typically 5. Well,
right.
I mentioned this about Darius Cooper. Remember, Metchie's contract's up. Dotson's contract's up after the season. Marshall's on a 1-year deal. Every Williams is a 1-year deal. Where are you going past the season as a backup receiver? They have nobody.
True.
You always have to think forward. Always think forward.
Yep, definitely. So now Metchie becomes what how many guys from Alabama do they have on this team at this point? 1, 2, fourth guy from Alabama. You got Devontae Smith. You got Landon Dickerson. You got Tyler Steen. And I consider Jalen Hurts Oklahoma, but everybody considers he's like the only player that people do that for. Oh, he's Alabama.
Right, exactly. Right.
Every other player who's been to like 2 or 3 school, whatever, you always say he came from the like we don't say Lance Dixon's at Penn State or he came from Toledo, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, Dixon was with 3 schools, but Steen didn't play with him, but Dickerson, I looked it up. Smith and Dickerson did.
Right.
So yeah, and I'm sure Jalen knows him. So this is interesting. He's a really good kid, Metchie. So based on the notes that have sent to me,
Yep.
Let's see. One of the top Z receivers for the 22 draft, second round and 44th overall. 5'11 and a quarter, 190. Not frail, but not thick.
Mm-hmm.
So you know that's why some people thought he might have to play inside. Known for route running, hands, not sudden, but more quicker than fast. Had a shoulder injury late last season. Does not return punts or kicks, but could cover on specials. Played, I think he led them in snaps for the first 2 preseason games at receiver and led them in yards. So,
right,
he's an interesting player. We'll see what happens. I love this is a smart Howie trade. Nothing to lose. So, by the way, the official trade was, assuming he passes the physical as expected, Metchie. Eagles get Metchie and a 6th-round pick for next year, and Harrison Bryant, and they give a 5th-rounder for next year and Harrison Bryant. So they lose a round, big deal. They still have 13 picks, or they're projected to have 13, is how he said.
Right, and by the way, those picks were the picks that they had already traded each other as part of the C.J. Gardner-Johnson trade. They're
Crazy.
It's almost like they were being like, right, so the Kenyon Green thing didn't work out. So why don't we just give our trades back?
Funny. That's just ridiculous. But it is what it is. And I'm like, Eagle fans should be excited about John Metchie. You have nothing to lose.
Right.
I understand. Once you get to the NFL, what you did in college doesn't matter. But he was a 2nd-round pick, and he's got a lot of urgency here because he's on the final of his rookie deal. He's just trying to make it. So we'll see. And again, before we move on here very quickly. Eagles have 6 tight ends here. Will they keep 3? That's the question.
Yeah. All right. So that's good stuff. I am excited too because I really I really enjoy watching like the great route runners of the league, and Metchie is very good with his feet.
Yeah.
That you mentioned, it's short area quickness, good routes. It's because a lot of times guys who project to be a slot or even a move Z, if they think you're more slot, don't go that high in the 2nd round. But he was a guy who could. I remember Scott saying he could play on the outside as a Z, and that he was really an elite mover, like fluid mover, and can get himself open, and that's why he got drafted that high. So you're right, nothing to lose, and if he's healthy and he's strong and fits in, he can make some noise here. He's got plenty of time with still 3 weeks to go. Yep. All right, let's get into what we know about the second preseason game. It was not a very pretty game. In fact, I feel like this is the second time the Browns and Eagles have played one of the ugliest preseason games I've ever seen in my life. If you would have told me the Eagles would not get 100 total yards in this game, I would say, come on, but they did not. They did not even generate 100 total offensive yards. The quarterbacks were not great. I know a lot of people like to say, well, they're behind the 3rd string offensive line. Well, yeah, but they're also going up against, 2nd and 3rd stringers by the second half anyway. It was not I think the issue with DTR, Adam, even though he had some really nice camp practices, now you've got him in a game environment. Now you've got him seeing a different defense, and his pocket poise and awareness, or lack thereof, really stands out in these moments, because if he could just sort of climb a little bit, I mean, his arm is nice. He can make throws, but he will crumble when that pocket starts to pinch around him. And you saw some deflected passes and just some skittishness there.
It was ugly. Yeah. The coaching term is feel it, don't see it. We used that one for years. Somebody gave me, and I think it totally encapsulates what you just said. You have to play. You have to have a sense of timing. Okay, I better get rid of it or else.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want to ever see the rush. You want to feel it, and he just didn't do a good job of it. McCord had the touchdown pass. Of course, Nia Smith had to reach back for it. You want to put it out for him. That's a truth. That's where the pass was. But
yeah,
I
didn't think McCord's touchdown drive was. It probably stuck out to people because he took over immediately, and then he goes downfield and they score a touchdown. But it wasn't like the most impressive drive. And you're right, that pass was thrown around. If anything, I thought that the touchdown catch showed the value of having a true slot like Nia Smith, because unlike some preseason games where a team's not going to play that kind of defense against that kind of formation, that was a spread like 2x2, I believe. And you see this all the time. Teams play man in the low red zone because they really want to blitz a lot. And so when you have a Nia Smith in the slot on the left side, like he was in a man-on-man situation, he gets to run a two-way, and you saw him break quick out and then in and catch that slant. Those are the type of plays that teams beat the Eagles with last year when they got C.J. Gardner-Johnson matched up against the slot receiver, right? Remember how we said CJ gave up about 5 or 6 low red zone touchdowns?
So then he cleaned it up, though. Yeah, then he cleaned it up, but yes.
They did. They moved. Obviously Cooper
he
also
did. Yeah,
he did.
Beat there.
Yeah. Although the Washington game, I think he got the second one, the one they lost. But either way, the point is that's the value of Ainias Smith, because if you put Johnny Wilson in the slot there, I think it's a little bit of a harder two-way go. You can use him on a fade, but that's a lower percentage pass than just a two-way go, bam, wide open like that.
By the way, you remember how you said it was ugly? Do you remember that? You know what was super ugly about that game 2 years ago in Philly against Cleveland?
Oh, man.
It was the dreaded tie.
Oh, that's right. Oh,
but a couple things here. Tanner McKee had a pretty good game. He 10 for 18, 147, a touchdown. Here are your running backs. Rashad Penny before he retired.
Oh, you're talking about 2 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Trey Sermon, Kennedy Brooks.
Kennedy Brooks. Oh, my God.
Yeah, I thought you like that. Tyree Jackson for another return for him. Joe Ngata was not in the league, I don't think. Greg Ward, one of the 50 times he was on the Eagles.
Oh, my God.
Olamide Zaccheaus. Oh, here you go. Devin Allen, with his situation. Tyree Cleveland. There's some who is Arnold? D. Arnold. Who the hell is Arnold?
Darius Arnold? No. Oh, I can see it. I don't remember his name. Oh, man.
Dan Arnold, the tight end.
Oh, the tight end. Yeah, the tight end. That's right. Wow.
Deion Kane,
I can't believe Ward was still on. So Brett Toth is becoming the Greg Ward of Julian Vanderbilt. I mean,
I can't believe we didn't mention him. It's crazy with Toth. We never brought up Julian. Yeah, he was very good on Twitter on that. So yeah, look at our notes here. I thought this is interesting. Not that Dylan played a lot, but Shipley didn't play. He's the 2. Dylan's the 3. Only played 6 snaps in the first quarter. Pulled him. Montreal Johnson took over for Dylan. Had some nice runs. 1 6-yard run was nice.
I agree. Just okay. Yeah.
Yeah. They started 11 personnel. Wilson, Ainias, and Cooper started. You mentioned Toth. Now, here's the one that shocked me. I never saw Drew Kendall play left guard. At practice at left guard at all. But he did in this game. He played left guard, a little bit of left guard.
Didn't he start camp as the 3rd-team left guard?
I don't remember seeing it. Maybe you remember it. I don't remember seeing that. I talked to
Toth was the 2nd-team center when camp started behind Cam Jurgens.
Yeah.
And Kennard was still on the right side. Kenyon Green opened as the 3rd-team left guard. So I think Kendall was the 2nd-team left guard, if I'm not mistaken. But as soon as they got him repping at center, he kind of stopped that.
Well, and remember, Keegan had been a left guard. Maybe you're right. I don't recall that, but here's the bottom line. I talked to someone in scouting with another team. So what did you have on Kendall? He goes, he's not a guard. He's a center. He will never make it a guard at this league. I'm like, that's strong. You already know this? He goes, yeah, that's what our scouting department. It's the guy. I guess the guy who's ever scouted him, and then whoever whoever else turned in grades. I just don't think he was functionally strong enough. I just saw it was weird because he's done a nice.
Yeah, only because I remember people saying that about Cam Jurgens when the Eagles played him at right guard, and he was only a tight end and then a center and small at that at Nebraska, and people didn't think, and myself included. I said, this guy, he's barely 300 pounds. He's going to struggle, but he wound up like Jeff Stoutland has been able to do this before. So
I know
we'll see. We'll see. I mean, at least he doesn't have to start. I mean, he's really just auditioning to be the backup left guard.
Well, he's right now the backup. He's got to be the backup center, Drew Kendall. He's really come on, man. That Cincinnati game is really good. I know overall that their line didn't play particularly well. Pass pro in particular, there were some issues. So it's something they're going to have to work on. But again, you're talking about backups, not starters.
Right. Although if Landon Dickerson doesn't make it back for the season opener, then it's a question who starts left guard. And
not good. You don't want to go there. You don't want to go there.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if just based on ear to the streets, if Howie still wasn't done trying to improve areas that need depth. And right now,
of course,
yeah,
that's what these trade. By the way, that's what these trade calls are about. Every GM talks to every GM. Where you light, where you heavy, and they ask about players, and either they say, "Hey, call me back," right? Call me back in 2 weeks. We'll have a better answer for you. One more note about listen to this one. You'll never get this. Guess who's? Don't look it up. Guess who started on the? Give me. I wouldn't have gotten one of them. You want to take a guess on their offensive line against Cleveland 2 years ago in that preseason game? I can't believe this.
Offensive line 2 years ago. Well, I'm going to guess Toth was on it.
No, he didn't. I'm talking about starting.
Starting offensive. Well,
you'll never get. If you get one, I'd be shocked.
Well, so you mean the first teamers sat, right? So the backups played.
I know, but again, the point is, you won't believe this. Go ahead. Who'd you
say? So I guess Toth wasn't one of them. Okay.
Nope.
How about the guy who was on injured reserve all last year from the Colts? What was his name? I can't think of it. You know who I'm talking about?
No, it wasn't him.
Do you know who I'm talking about, though?
Was Josh Sills?
No, the offensive lineman they got from the Colts who played like a little bit of tackle, mostly guard, but he was on injured reserve practice squad.
The tall guy, Raven Clark. No, but no, the reason why I said it is Josh Sills started left guard. Okay.
Oh man, he made the team too.
Guess where Steen started? You might get this.
Right tackle.
Yep. Okay, this one, and I vaguely remember. I do remember this guy coming back. I just should have gave the hint. Guess who started at center? Don't look.
But I didn't. I'm not looking.
This is a great one.
2 years ago.
He came out of the blue. He kind of came out. He wasn't retiring, but people thought he was retiring. Josh Andrews.
Oh my God, Josh Andrews.
I know, dude. This is crazy.
That's amazing.
Sua Peta, right guard. You'll never get the left tackle. If you get the left tackle, I'd be shocked. This guy's definitely not a left tackle. I'll just give you a hint. He's no longer on the team, and he's coming back from, I think, an ankle surgery.
I got nothing.
Jack Driscoll started left guard.
Jack Driscoll. I was going to say Jamon Brown.
It's really not a left tackle.
Oh, man. Wow, that's crazy.
I know.
Needless to say, that might have been a deeper, though, offensive line than this year's version because Sua Opeta wound up making himself into a decent backup guard. Mm-hmm. And, we know Driscoll had plenty of starts in the league. Funny. That is really funny.
Here are the backups real quick. Mm-hmm. One of our favorite names of all time, Cameron Tom, not Tom Cameron, Cameron Tom.
Yep.
Oh, your guy, Julian Good-Jones. And this guy, when they brought him back, we said this will never work because we knew he beat up physically. Dennis Kelly, remember?
Dennis Kelly. Yes, I remember that.
Remember that? Yep. I had to mention because this is fun. Anyway, we'll move on.
Yeah. So I didn't think. Listen, the Browns played a lot of starters. Not all of them. They played starters on defense. I didn't think the Eagles' offensive line was awful or terrible. I just think that they had a couple of issues at times in pass pro. But I thought both of the quarterbacks at times also held on to the ball a little long. So that's going to happen.
Wait a minute. Let me. I do not believe they played any starters. They did not play any starters on defense.
I thought a line.
Nah, the only guy, Devin Bush might be. You know what? Technically, Devin Bush.
Cedric Tillman, I know it's on offense, but Cedric Tillman caught a pass, so I know.
I'm just talking about defense. I'm just talking about defense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look, like Sam Kamara, I don't know that he's going to make it.
No relation.
Alex Wright's their third edge.
Mm-hmm.
Casey's a backup safety. Ronnie Hickman might not. Yeah, technically, like Devin Bush and Jerome Baker.
Right.
Schwessinger's probably going to start anyway. Yeah, you could. Yeah. Let's put it this way: some of their backups might be playing. Yeah, but offensively,
Schlesinger is definitely a starter. He just needed.
Yeah, but he didn't start. Right, he didn't start, but he also didn't play.
Okay.
No, in fact, if you look at the starters, Greg Newsome started, did not play. Looking at it, Schlesinger didn't play. Their offensive lineman didn't play.
Right,
but
I knew that.
Garrett, of course, didn't play. Harold Fannin Jr., why didn't he play? That was Mason Graham didn't play. I was disappointed. And Njoku didn't play.
Cedric Tillman play?
Cedric Tillman. I don't know. That was really interesting. I was surprised because Judy didn't play. Tillman should be starting. I don't know why he wouldn't be starting.
Did you say Njoku did not play?
No, David Njoku did not play.
I must have got the uniform wrong because the play where Ojulari covered the tight end.
No, he didn't play.
That must have been 86 then, because it looked like 85 to me, and I thought it was Njoku that Ojulari covered and then made Gabriel hold on to the ball and then try to thread that window that that Drew Makuba picked off. So maybe it was 86, but it looked like 85 to me. So
here's the problem. See, here's the interesting thing. DeJuan Jones might be their left tackle. He started. He shouldn't be starting. He's really a right tackle.
Right. They wanted him to get work, clearly.
Yeah, exactly. Like the Eagles did with Becton last summer. He was the one only starter to play on offense.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was it. Look, so we'll finish off with defense.
Mm-hmm.
Hall's fine. I'll come back for the shoulder injury. Thank goodness. Young and Robinson started. but Gabe Hall shows good for him. I'm so glad Clint Hurd was able to reach him. That's what we talked about last year, was that the scouting term is he was low burn, low energy, needed to be pushed. Well, the light has gone on for this guy. He's got elite length. Good story so far. Young and Robinson started it. Young just came back from his groin injury. But one of the good stories of the game is Ojulari. Aziz had not looked particularly great this summer, but man, he had at least, look at my notes, at least 3 quality rushes, 1 sack.
Mm-hmm.
QRs are basically, if you get close enough, if you look explosive. He had one where he beat the guy, but the quarterback got rid of the football. Uche started, and then I'd say this before we move on from Ojulari. This needed to happen. He really needed, not saying they would have cut him, but you needed to see some explosives from him, and you certainly saw that.
It was his Patrick Robinson moment, Adam, where he shook off all the being invisible of camp. Actually, Patrick Robinson was actually awful.
Terrible.
Ojulari hasn't been awful. He's just been invisible, but he certainly came through.
Patrick Robinson was so bad. It was one of the all-time turnarounds in training camp. I'm like, wow, this guy can't play anymore. And then I don't know what happened. Like, maybe he knew it.
They moved him to the slot. That's what happened.
Oh, was he playing safety?
He was practicing on outside.
Was he?
The first year of his camp. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I didn't know. I forgot. But 8 years ago. But man, he balled out, and what a story he was. But look, we'll see what happens here. So, inside backers, Trotter and Campbell started. Trot, there were a couple plays I'm sure he'd like to have back. Campbell's flashing. No decisions have been made, but folks, we'll continue to say this: first rounders don't sit if they're ready. That's just the way it works.
Right.
See if Campbell's ready to start or not. That'll be up to Vic.
I thought Mondon played a way better game than he did against the Bengals. He was he had those 2 consecutive stops to start the second half. There was one play where he struggled to get off a block, but that was the 3rd down run where it was like 3rd and 5 and they went spread and then they did the draw. So there was only one guy in the box and it was Makuba, and he had a tackle come out and cover him up. So that's not Makuba. I'm sorry. It was Mondon as the only guy in the box because they were in a pass heavy look, thinking that the Browns were going to pass the ball on 3rd and 5 or 3rd and 6, whatever it was. So the Eagles do this to teams a lot. They'll spread it out 3rd and 6 and they hand it off and use their big offensive line to get big yards. They used to do it under Doug Peterson all the time and get success with it. So I don't really blame him for not getting off. I think it was DeJuan Jones's block there. That's tough. But in general, I thought the inside linebackers played well. I like that Vic showed you his signature sim pressure or creeper pressure, if you will, which is, Ojulari was dropping, or no, Uche on that play dropped, the second play of the game, and Campbell just shot the gap. And you can see
the beautiful right up the middle.
Yeah, the protection screen of the Browns was not ready for that, and he went right through and got the sack. So
I can't wait. If he's starting week 1, it's going to – I know Vic doesn't like the blitz, but I've talked about this for years. Linebacker coaches love inside backers who can rush. It's such an added bonus.
Yep.
He doesn't have to line up outside. You could rush him from the inside, just like you talked about.
Right.
Mondon actually played a ton. Yeah, he played 50% of the snaps.
Yeah.
So that was good. He's got really good length. He's not a wide body, clearly not. Mm-hmm. At safety, Makuba and Brown started. We know about, obviously, they had the 2 big plays, the pick 6 and the fumble recovery. But the thing with him is he plays downhill, man. This kid, he could play nickel. He could cover. He had 5 picks last year. This kid's a player, man. He and the thing was, he's another guy. Second round picks typically don't sit if they're mentally ready. If Vic thinks he's ready, he's a better football player than Brown. Let's call it like it is. He just has way more to him, especially in coverage than City does.
Yeah. And look, this thing is still going. If anybody thought that Brown won this competition because Makuba was out for a little bit, nope. It's a competition, and just like you said, with the first round pick, not always the case with the second round pick, but if it's tie, it's going to go to Drew Makuba because he's the second round pick.
Right. People always ask, I always hate this question. Who do they want to start? Of course, folks, they want the guys, the higher draft pick who's making more money. That's what they want. The front office.
And more years of cost control left,
Yeah, right. So, and this is Brown's 3rd year, it was 4-year rookie deal. I'm glad he's healthy and he'll help them with special teams. But Drew is just, you see the way that he moves and great energy, super smart guy. And look, if for the future, if they move Coop to safety, Makuba could be their nickel next year. We'll see what happens.
Plus, I do think that there's potentially a role for Sidney. It's not Sidney Brown has played fine. He's learning the defense. I think he's looked good. So if they want to play some versatile 3 safety packages, they have the ability to do that. Getting Brown and Makuba.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
They don't really do that with Vic here. They haven't done it really since Denver.
Probably haven't had like the personnel to do it though.
Probably
because
right.
Sydney
They
wasn't
do
ready
now.
last year.
Yeah. I mean, by the way, McCollum led them in snaps.
Yeah.
So, and they know what he's a fourth safety. I mean, that's, I know Vic likes him, but the reality is he's a fourth safety.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And then at corners, obviously you saw Ringo and Jackson start. Now Ringo, again, we talk about this. He was a little, I don't know if you want to say slow or late, or didn't get his hips turned fast enough on that third down crossing route. And because he was late on it, he got caught up in the wash which is exactly what the play is designed to do. But a good, smart corner can get a beat on that, get his way through the traffic, or get there before the traffic even starts to pile up. But he got caught up between, I think it was Jamari Thrash, caught the ball, had time to turn upfield and got the extra yardage. I mean, it's just one play, but it sort of like highlights that these are the kind of plays that Kelee Ringo's got to start to like tighten up. And, Vic, you'll hear Vic say he's got to play more football and learn how to deal with those situations.
Yeah, and this is why OTAs, folks, it's AA baseball. I've used this phrase for years, and it really hasn't changed. You got to be careful of hype of any player, not just a corner in OTAs. It means very little. He's been unable to carry. This is 2 years now. He's not carried over the outstanding OTAs. It's almost like it's never happened. I hate to say that, but he's just not carried over. He got beat for the third cornerback job last year after 1 week. A guy who didn't play football the year before beat him out in Isaiah Rodgers. Great story from Rodgers, who parlayed that into a really good season. Got a nice free agent deal with the Vikings. And Ringo, geez, it's just because you have got the height, weight, and speed doesn't make you a great football player. I think we're all learning that. But there's time here. He's kind of running out here. And Adoree Jackson, see, here's the thing. And Bennett hurt his arm, so we'll see if he's available this week. Let me ask you this question. Is the starting corner opposite Quinyon Mitchell on this football team?
That's a great question. I think it is. I just don't think it's going to have great results early on. Do I think that very, very could Howie Roseman pull off a trade for a true starting corner before the season opener, like he did with, say, getting the nickel when he got CJ Gardner-Johnson? Sure. Yep. But you have to tell me who's available. Nichols.
Well, I hear you. Who's trading for a starting corner?
Starting corner is who's giving one up, right?
Well, I get that. Now, Bennett was buried on their depth chart with the Raiders because he was come back from the shoulder surgery.
Right. And he's not, to be honest and fair, he's not like a proven starting corner either. He's
right.
He was on a bad team. So
he did a good job before he got hurt last year. But yeah, I hear you. I know the way how he thinks. He's just not accepted. If it doesn't work, you're just not going to stand. You're not going to throw your hands up. You got 13 picks for next year. I mean, if it doesn't work, go get someone. But on your point, it's going to me, it would have to be more of a situation like Bennett, who's buried in a depth chart, who had high grades, whose tape has actually been pretty good in the NFL, who just needs, look, Howie's he's done really well with this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's just, you just never know, but I can't, he's not going to stand idly by. And obviously they're having these kind of discussions internally. And, this is what happens a couple weeks before the season starts. You start saying, okay, if this doesn't get better, what are we doing?
Yeah. Now, some people were a little I guess surprised that Brandon Johnson got the nickel role. But if you've been following along, whether it's Andrew DeCecco daily or his notes or even us talking, Mac McWilliams is also getting cross-trained on the outside. Started to happen about a week and a half ago, maybe after the first preseason game, where they're giving him more outside looks, which Vic said he was going to do. He's evaluating him at outside and nickel, at corner and nickel. So obviously, if Mac McWilliams is not going to be playing nickel, then you need a nickel, and Cooper DeJean's not playing in this game in general. So Brandon Johnson's had a decent camp, by the way. I think he's actually showed some pretty good awareness and alertness and made some plays, but he's not going to make the 53. I mean, I just can't see that happening.
Yeah, I agree. But
it just happens to be next man up at that position.
Yeah, and Mac McWilliams has been a really nice story, who they've cross-trained a little bit on the outside. So that's pretty much it. By the way, one more note for you. I just think this is funny. 2 years ago, who started against Cleveland in the preseason game, almost all these players are gone. Derek Barnett gone. Zach Cunningham gone with Detroit. Mario Goodrich, I know who's working out. I don't even know if he's in the league. Josh Jobe, now he's revived his career well with Seattle. Zach McPherson, I think he was wave injured. I think he got hurt somewhere. He was wave injured. Terrell Edmonds And Kevon Wallace. So basically, in summary, what do we see? Gabe Hall showed up. It's been a good story development. Makuba showed up. It wasn't just those 2 plays. He's closing in on that job. Nothing official. Brown's still technically ahead, but Makuba's doing well. Ringo's got to pick it up. They may not have a number 2 corner right now. But overall, it's not the end of the world, people. It's a preseason game. Don't read much into it. It's all about the backups and development. We'll see what happens this week, by the way. They got free practice.
Definitely. A lot going on this week. All right. That is going to do it for this episode of Inside the Birds, the leading podcast in Eagles intel. And as always, we thank you for flying with us inside the bird.